everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my June TBR, and I'm really excited about this one because the June TBR is a bit of a special TBR. I am going to be doing a Discord Picked My TBR. So basically a few months ago, I had been kind of chatting on Discord with some of my friends and talking about how because I had not scheduled as many bunny reads for this year, I felt like I wasn't reading books with them or kind of talking to them about the books that they have enjoyed this year and feeling like a little bit out of the loop. So I thought for the halfway point of the year, it would be a good time to read some of the books that my friends have been really liking or some of the books that they have been suggesting for me to read over the past months or even over the past couple of years. And so a bunch of people gave recommendations or picked books that they wanted me to read. And obviously I couldn't do one for everybody because there's only so much time in a single month. And most of these books are pretty chunky or at least relatively long fantasy books. So I want to make sure that I can get to as many of them as possible, hopefully be able to get through all of them in the month of June. So if this goes really well, hopefully I'll be able to do it again later this year. But one thing that was great is that the people on Discord picked a lot of the books that I already own and have been waiting to read. So they did me a pretty big favor because this is helping me get through my reading goal of reading books that are already on my physical TBR. And I get to read some books that they are excited for me to read. So there are 7 in total. This is going to be a 7-book TBR for June. But I do have a couple of ongoing buddy reads. So I am buddy reading the, I don't remember the name of the actual series, but the first book was Masks and Mirrors that I just read, and Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors. I don't know why my brain is not working this morning, but I just read that with Alan for his channel read along. So I will be reading the second of that series, and that's not part of this general TBR. And I am reading the Dagger and Coin series with my friend Penny, who also has another book on this list. But Penny's been in the Discord forever and we're always chatting. So I'm happy to read 2 of her books this month. I don't feel at all bad about it. So I will be reading that other series with Penny kind of in the background, but it's not part of this specific TBR. So I will talk a little bit about the books that I'm going to read. And I just have them in a stack here next to me because like I said, most of them I already own. And the very first one, we'll start off with the non-fantasy book first. This is the one that was on top, and that is Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. So this is a book that Penny and I had agreed to read together. I think we actually agreed to it last year, and I had scheduled it for June regardless. So I figured that it would be okay to use this as Penny's pick for this month. But Thomas Hardy, is an author that I have only read one other book from. So I read Tess of the D'Urbervilles as part of an English course in university and really ended up enjoying it. Reading it as part of that course was definitely helpful because I think for a lot of classic literature, at least for me, some of the surrounding context, information about what the world was like, the conventions, why the author made certain choices, those were definitely a lot clearer in a more organized classroom environment. There are obviously themes and ideas that anyone can pick up on as a reader, but I think sometimes, especially for classics, understanding some of the broader historical context can really help you appreciate a work of literature. And so I ended up really enjoying Tess of the D'Urbervilles when I read it with that class, and I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if I had read it on my own, but I do want to give Jude the Obscure a chance. I'm not even really sure what this is about. Let's see. Jude, poor and working class, he's trapped in a loveless marriage, falls in love with his unconventional cousin, and their refusal to marry when free to do so confirms their rejection of and by the world around them. So it looks like it's kind of rebelling against the expectations of their class and the world around them. There's a little bit of that in Tess of the D'Urbervilles as well. A lot of exploration of choices made and consequences and morality and all of those types of things in Tess of the D'Urbervilles. That was really interesting. So I'm looking forward to maybe getting some of the same in Jude the Obscure. I remember that the writing was pretty accessible in Tess, so I'm hoping that this won't be too stuffy, won't be too hard to get through. It looks like it's around 400 pages, and this will probably, if I'm going to be truthful, be a bit of a slower read throughout the duration of the month. Classics Typically, I do read a little more slowly. I just want to give myself time to absorb them. And I always end up feeling, and I've talked about this on Discord actually with friends, that I always end up feeling like I appreciate the book as a whole once I have finished it more than at any time during the read. So sometimes I'll be working really hard. It will take me time to get through the book. And I wouldn't say that I'm struggling, but I'm looking for, I guess, that spark and looking to discover what has made this book stand the test of time. And usually by the end of the book, I can see that, but it takes a little bit of a more zoomed out view. I need to have that full big picture in order to appreciate the book for what it is. So that's usually my experience with classics. I am looking forward to reading this one. Then we'll get on to some of the fantasy. So the next selection was by my friend Amora, and this is a book that she's been trying to get me to read forever. I had it on a bunch of TBRs last year, and it was actually one of my 5-star prediction books that I never got around to, and that is The Binding by Bridget Collins. So I will fully admit that I bought this, I think it was 2 years ago, on a whim because the cover is beautiful. And I thought, wow, that is so gorgeous. I'm going to pick it up. Hopefully it'll be a hidden gem. I know lots of people have read this book, so I mean more of a hidden gem for myself, like something that I hadn't heard about a lot on BookTube or in other avenues, and something that I could pick up and maybe really fall in love with. And I do think that I will like it. I think that there's a magic related to bookbinding. Yes, it says bookbinding is a sacred calling. So I think that this incorporates elements of romance. It's certainly book focused, and Amora really loved it, and she thinks that I'm going to really like it too. And she knows my taste really well, so I am very hopeful. I have high hopes for The Binding, and I know it's not part of any ongoing 5-star predictions list, but hopefully it will end up being a 5-star. But I am really looking forward to that one. So that one's, I think, going to be like a little bit more of like a literary fantasy kind of experience. After that, we have my friend Colton's selection, which was initially a different book, but then he came in to change things after watching a live show where I talked about this book. And that is Wistful Ascending by J.C.M. Byrne. So this is a book that I bought for my husband this Christmas, and he recently finished and had a great time reading it. So he really, really liked it. Colton really, really liked it, and they both would like for me to read it, so I am going to be reading it in June. This one is a little bit shorter, like it is almost 400 pages, but it's got nice, nice spacing and nice big font. So hopefully it won't take me too long to get through this one. Andrew, my husband, did not talk to me a ton about what this is about because he knew that I was going to read it soon and didn't want to give me any spoilers or anything like that. So I don't actually know a ton about what this is about. I think it's superheroes in space, maybe. Colton has told me that it's got some Dragon Ball Z vibes, which is a favorite show from childhood, and I am really looking forward to it. I am hopeful that I will also really like this one, and I'm looking forward to talking with them about it. I'm wondering if I might be able to convince Andrew to actually come in a video and talk about this book with me. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but if it were to happen, this is probably one of the books that would convince him to do so. So we'll see how I feel about that. After that, we have Igor's pick. So Igor, again, is a longtime friend from the Discord. Very smart, very funny. Everybody always loves it when he chimes into a conversation. And he is getting me back on track with Malazan. So he selected Dead House Gates as his pick for June. And I am really hopeful that I will be able to get through this. Joanna has also left a couple of comments on videos recently, especially one where I was talking about mental health representation and anger and those uncomfortable emotions that come with trauma. And she had suggested that there might be a character in this book that I would find really fascinating. So I am looking forward to reading about that character. I'm looking forward to reading this book. And hopefully this will get me back on the Malazan train. Hopefully it will not be, I don't know, how long has it even been? A year and a half before I pick up book 3. But I am very hopeful that I will get through book 2, and I am looking forward to getting back into this world. So Igor's choice, Dead House Gates, looking forward to this one. And then the very last physical copy of a book was my friend Bridget's selection, and I'm kind of cheating with this one, but It's a big TBR, so I'm thinking it's going to be okay. But her selection was The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons, not sure how you pronounce that. But this is a book, as you can tell by the bookmark, that I have already started, and I'm filming this on, what is the date today? The 29th of May. So it is entirely possible, depending on how busy I am for the next couple of days, that I might actually finish this, and it might not be a part of my June TBR. But I am also on call for the next couple of days, so life could be incredibly busy. I might not get to read anything, and then I will have to finish this in June, and so it will still count. Regardless, Bridget and a bunch of other people on Discord read this whole series last year and loved it so much. They had such fun discussions in Discord that I have been dying to read it ever since, and so I am very happy that I have been able to pick it up. I have read 10 pages so far, and I do really like it. It's just that I started it and also started the Project Hail Mary audiobook at the same time, and they were both really good, and I just ended up devoting more time to the audiobook. But now I'm finished Project Hail Mary, so I can devote my full time to The Ruin of Kings. One day I will get through a video without having to stop to cough, but today is clearly not that day. Those are all of the books on my physical TBR that I'm going to be reading in June, and then there are 2 other selections made by people in the Discord. So the first one I'm going to be reading via ebook, and that was a selection by my friend Esme, who reads so much, has fantastic reviews on Goodreads. I appreciate her opinion and her suggestions so much because I feel like she has excellent taste and she just reads so widely that it's easy to take advice from her. And she has suggested that I read Legacy of the Brightwash. And I don't remember who the author of that book is right at the moment, but obviously I'll pop a picture up for this one. This is another book that I don't know a ton about. I think there might be a murder mystery maybe at the center of this book, but I just know that there's a lot, or I think that there's a lot of like twists and turns, a lot of dramatic reveals. I remember when Esme and Amora on Discord were reading this and discussing it, there seemed to be a lot of exciting things to talk about. So I'm looking forward to reading that one on ebook. And then the very last selection is from my friend Amy, and her suggestion was that I read Gideon the Ninth. And this is going to be my audiobook selection for the month. I think there's a lot of discussion about Gideon the Ninth, just in general. Some people really love it, some people really don't. Some people love it from the beginning, some people feel like you have to make it all the way to the end until things come together and you start to enjoy it. Some people feel like the tagline, which is lesbian necromancers in space, is perfect for the book. Some people are like, this is totally unrealistic. This gives you the false expectations for what the series is going to be about and what it's going to be like. So I honestly don't know what to expect. I imagine that there's also divisive opinions about the audiobook. Sometimes for books that require a lot of mental gymnastics, a lot of figuring things out, audiobooks don't work well at all. Sometimes they work really well. I'm not sure if I'm going to completely forget everybody's name or if it's going to stick more solidly because I'm listening to it read out loud. I have no idea, but I do not own this book. I had Audible credits that were available, and if I want to get through everything on the TBR, having something on audio is going to make that a lot easier, and Gideon the Ninth was the best choice for that. So I have already purchased and downloaded the audiobook, and I am going to be starting it as soon as the month kicks off. So I am hopeful that I will get to all of these. This is a very ambitious TBR, especially since I have been reading less over the last couple of months. I've been traveling, I've been doing a lot of things with family, I've been doing a lot of writing things. So my time for reading has lessened, and so I have been reading less, just, as a consequence of that. But I think that this is going to be a really fun TBR. I am looking forward to discussing all of these books with my friends. Like I said, if it goes really well, then hopefully I can do another like this in a couple of months. It makes me feel like I'm still able to get that conversation in, to feel connected, even though I set very strict reading goals for myself this year, and that has kept me away from a lot of the buddy reads and kind of those spontaneous fun things that I had been doing a lot of last year. So hopefully this will also be enjoyable for all of you. Please let me know what you are going to be reading in June, and I will see you with another video soon. Bye!